Irene, welcome on the show.
Thank you for
Now,
having
today we
me.
want to talk about influencing. I think that's one of the things that is eating the fabrics of today youth. Influencing. Irene, what is your view on influencing?
Okay. Um, Influencing.
Hold that thought. Are you a baddie? Are you a bad? Is it bad baddie? Have you what? Baddie. So tell me, are you a
Okay, I should
baddie?
first start from the body.
Yeah.
Okay, I consider myself a body.
Okay.
Now, here is why. From the Urban Dictionary, a body is somebody who is confident, self-reliant. She works on herself. She is productive, resourceful. She mostly doesn't need anybody, but would be lucky to have anybody. And being a body is like what we used to call the bold, courageous women of before. And take, for example, in the early 90s or 80s, thereabouts, we have people like Marilyn Monroe. Those were the baddies of those times. But then, with the intervention of social media and all that, most girls that just show off naked parts of their body in in the name of false confidence, seeking validation from men, are now the ones that are considered the baddies. And it has redefined the whole thing, and it is making it look like, okay, anybody that is confident and all that is just a different person and is not considered a baddie. But for me, I still choose to be addressed as a baddie because I know what it actually means. It's not the one that just flash their body parts all the time.
So we that don't know what baddie means now, what do we? What in me? I want to
At
see.
least now I've tell you, you have now know.
So I should stop seeing those ones. I assume
Yes, it's
the baddies, the
not
one that with the piercing, with plenty of piercing. So those ones are not baddies. With the
the
leg
mini skirts.
chain, all of those ones are not baddies.
Those are it's just a fashion sense. I think what they did was that they just made the whole body thing look like a fashion statement.
Okay,
It just made it look like a fashion statement.
but
Being
deep
a
down,
body is all about body positivity, confidence, independence to some level. But now everybody just wants it to look like, okay, I'm young, I'm making it, and I'm glowing, and I'm all that. And then they make pictures of that on the internet, and then they are considered the ones that are actually the bodies.
well, let's not deviate because I'm beginning to get interested in this whole body thing, and then plus a lot of ladies that have thought these girls are cool. Actually, they're just probably forming body for me. But then that's by the way, influencing. What's your view on influencing in today?
And today's okay. Influencing is having the ability to alter somebody's thoughts, mindsets, or point of view. And influencing goes as far back as the Bible, where the
Sorry,
Bible
hold that
says,
thought. To alter. So, but you do know these are almost what our supposedly religious leaders, our politicians, our parents are doing today in today. So, are you saying all of these people too are all, but some type of way influencing?
they're influencing one thing or the other.
Hmm.
A thought, a behavior, a character, one thing or the other.
Okay. So, for you, have you ever been influenced before? You could tell that now when I meet this guy or this girl, or when I listen to this mentor, or when I started doing this, that I became this.
Yes, I have been influenced at every point. Peer
Good,
pressure,
bad,
good,
both.
bad, both.
Let me start with bad. Which do you do first? Which one the first teach you? Smoke,
No, I don't smoke.
club.
I go clubbing once in a while to reward myself, go and dance and blow
To
off
reward
steam.
yourself.
Yes, I
Okay.
work so hard. I work like 26 days out of the month, so the remaining I use it to go and blow off steam.
To go and what?
Blow off steam, rest,
Blow off steam.
so I don't get burnt
You
out.
you
And
guys will agree with me why I tell you. See all this Gen Z thing. So they go to club to blow off steam. I don't understand. I've just been having. I just they gather steam since
yes,
because
now when you go, you dance, you forget your story, you
you
breathe,
cannot
you
dance at
relax.
home.
Why will I dance at home? Where's the fun in that? I also get to laugh at people's clothes, but that's by the way.
Okay, so now then, so somebody influenced you going to club.
Yes.
How? But before then, do you hate club? I want to assume.
Initially, I thought anybody that goes to club is a prostitute. I thought
Good.
when you go to the club,
I
you are
also
the
think like
devil.
that too. So, oh yeah.
So
So
I used to think you are the devil. But then for one of my friends, it was her birthday. She was turning, I think, 20, 21, 22 thereabouts. And she was like, okay, so for this birthday, we're all going clubbing. And I told her, I don't go clubbing. I don't do this. I don't do that. She said, well, there's a first time for everything. And in as much as a lot of people say, yes, that's how people start to die young and people start to get into
to
trouble.
that.
People start to get into trouble. I'm grateful that I went clubbing with this particular person because first of all, she asked me if I drank and I said no, and she gave me coke throughout the night. She
Okay.
made sure I did not drink what I was not
But I know
used to.
people mix stuff in Coke.
Yes, she gave me coke. I was the one that opened it myself, so I knew it was not mixed. And then she also gave me water. The only problem was I now became the mommy in the party. I was holding everybody's phones and making sure no man drags them away from the congregation of us, the girls. But it was fun. I danced, I played, I made friends with the DJ. I talked to a couple of people. I made contacts. Some people that I
In a
used to,
club,
yes, some
you
people
made
that I
friends
used
with
to
the DJ.
see, and yes, I don't join everybody. I went to stay with the DJ.
Of all people,
A
with the
lot of
DJ.
people have noticed me in parties. Anybody that goes parties and they notice I'm always standing with the DJs. I don't.
And maybe you love to do. Maybe that's what you love, and that's why you go to DJs.
I feel like from that point where the DJs you can see everything. So I use that to like monitor my friends so
Wow.
that they don't go astray like far too far.
So you're saying going to club is not wrong?
It's not wrong. What are you doing there is the problem. Now I get paid to go to the club. I He mentioned I do events. So
No, before you started doing this, this was when you got influenced into it. I
so
wanted to
when
know
I got
from.
into influenced into it, I was at the club that day. I was holding everybody's phones. I was drinking my coke, and I got to meet one of the people that guided me social media marketing in Abuja. I got to meet him. He was just very calm, just chill. He came sat close to where I was sitting, and we had a conversation, exchange contacts. Till today, he still checks up on my social, still encourages me and stuff like that. I made such a good friendship from the club. So far I was not drinking, vomiting, and losing
Following
myself.
someone home.
Losing myself. I feel like it was a win. It was a good.
And has it always been like that?
I don't drink outside
Okay, so you now drink.
socially.
What does that mean?
That means if you go for a wedding and everybody is taking that one
They
glass, you
share
take
alcohol
that
in
one
weddings now.
glass. Okay, sorry, I don't know how to put it, but a lot of weddings I go to, they share alcohol. Like that one glass that everybody just
Please, if you've
sips.
been to a wedding where they share alcohol, please drop in the comment section because I had never been to a wedding where they share. Like, which type of alcohol?
Like champagne is wine.
Oh, that's a
I
serious
drink,
wedding. No, no,
I
me, I go
drink,
to broke
I
weddings. Not that type.
I drink wine, but occasionally. I,
Okay,
I,
so
I
how did you come into that? Because you were not drinking from home. So how did you? Because I want to assume it's
okay.
influencing. So
I won't say I was not drinking from home.
you're drinking from home.
No, not from home. Let me put it this
Oh,
way.
okay.
The first time I had alcohol, it was a family member that gave it to me.
One of your brothers
Not my brother's cousin.
that came to your house.
Yes,
Well, your
where
parents are
it
aware.
was I think one of the funerals in the village or so. They know. My parents know I drink occasionally, but they know I don't drink to stupor, and they know that I am not careless with drugs.
And they don't say anything about it.
My mom complains.
When you say
Yes.
complaints, like don't do this again.
No, she would check how many percent is the alcohol. She would check the quantity I'm taking.
No,
She
the one
would
she's not there.
nag about.
The one she's not there.
I don't fancy drinking. I don't like the taste of alcohol. Even the wine, I barely finish whatever I dish out for myself. Barely.
Okay, let's not deviate so that we start talking about alcohol. So
Okay.
influencing. Why do you think a lot of young people, good children, very promising young people, go into tertiary institutions and then become something else? End up with bad friends, prostitution, hookup, as it's called today, and then the basic thing. So, how did you dodge from all of that? Plus, hey, congratulations! She
Thank
just
you.
rounded up her program. We have a fresh graduate here, so and then
Thank you.
what is it like going back home and then you've been able to, a lot of people leave school with pregnancy or in the course of school, they don't drop one junior for house. How did you scale through all of this? So many things that would have made you a non-entity. How did you, I want to assume you, of course, you did have challenge as an undergraduate and all of those. How did you
True.
scale through all of them without being influenced to have become something else?
Okay, so I will start from my parents. My parents are very open with me. They were the first people to teach me about sex. They were the first people to teach me about like relationships. They were the first people I got to learn a lot of things from. And it's really helped my mindset about things because now I get to hear the good, the bad, the ugly from my parents. They are open about it.
Wow, please hold that because this is very interesting for me. Your parents taught you about
Like
sex
they told me about it. They told me
when
how
they were
it
telling you
is.
from how did they tell you don't do this so it will get you pregnant or how did they tell you?
When I started my period, my mom explained to me that these two body parts that your brother have and you have, if they come into each other, like you've probably seen in a movie or something,
And
it
this
would
at
get you
what
pregnant.
age?
I was around 13, around the time when my mom talked to me about it.
Before then, did you know anything about it?
Whenever they are kissing, if you remember, I would say we should go and all that. But when I got to that age, she started telling me. And then around that time, I just got into a boarding school. I just got into a boarding school, so I was not always with my parents. So they told me everything they felt I needed to know, and which was really helpful because when I got to school, I found out there were a lot of people that did not know most of these things. They talked to me about STDs. They talked to me about,
Your parents?
yes, they talked to me about STDs. They talked to me about the. They told me that it is sweet, but that you, if you do it with many people, this is the risk involved. They told me that that's why it's best to just wait till you are married. You know that this person is the only. And then they also told me about the teenage pregnancies. They told me how it would affect my life. They did not tell me, oh, your life will stop and everything. They just said you now become a mother. You will now understand.
So
You
your
get.
parents, your parents must be the best for them to have told you like, this thing is sweet but it's this but then don't engage in all of that. Wow.
They did. They told every single one of my siblings well aware of it.
And all of your siblings all turned out well.
We all turned out well, considering the neighborhood we grew up in.
And let's not do it from the lens of neighborhood.
Okay, we all turned out well. What among us, we still have the people that are better and the ones that we look at like this. Like me, they look at me like this, but still.
Just the way I'm looking at you like this. So then, how were you able to navigate through all of that and still be sane, be all this beautiful, and still do what you do? How did you get into crochet thing, that thing you do? How do you get
I
into it?
learned crochet through my mom. My mom knits. She has a shop. Apart from her 9 to 5, that was what she was doing on the side. She had,
Apart from a 9 to 5, wow,
yes,
she already has a job, but then it's something she does.
yes.
But I think it's a big deal to do. So how many years? Because I think it
I
takes
literally
somebody.
grew up watching my mom do it. I learned how to do it. Then I don't really have a lot of friends. I'm always in my house, major introvert. So every free time I have, I go on YouTube, learn something. Most of the things you said I do, I learned self-taught through the internet or reading books about it. So I read books about crochet, I watched YouTube videos, and I practiced.
Wow. So how come then? No, but the thing is, funny enough, looking at you as a baddie and then you coming out to now tell me all these fine fine things. It's not even confusing me. I don't even know which one now to now. But then, how did you not get influenced? Because I'm sure you could have experiences where in your hostel, did you stay in hostel in school?
And I said, okay. Well, boarding school, I watched some girls scale fences to go for parties
They
and
engage
all
into
that.
lesbianism. So,
Yes.
how did all of that not get to you? Like, you did have a friend. Sincerely, did you have a friend that was a lesbian?
I have lesbian friends, plenty.
Wow, you seem to be proud of it. The way you said it,
No,
plenty.
the reason I'm saying it is because I'm friends with them because of what, like, I would. This sounds selfish, but what I can get from them. Let me put it that way.
You could get something from a
We are
lesbian.
we are all friends with people that we can get something from. The moment they stop being beneficial to you, you will throw them away. Let's not lie. And one of the things I noticed about these people is that they don't make the lesbianism their whole person. You meet them, when you find out they're lesbian, it's probably too late because you guys are like really close and you've learned so much and they have grown on you.
Yeah, but I get that. But then you knew what they are doing is not correct. Correct. It's not even accepted in the nation where
I
you live.
have what I'm doing that is not correct and they look at me like that the same way.
Hmm. Now they see this Gen Z people because she has something that she does that goes well for her. Then every other person can.
Everybody has vices.
So how
That's
did?
the same way there's like that's yin and yang. Inside the black there's a spot of white and inside the white there's a spot of black. It's the balance of life.
So, but then I'm sure you've seen who they influenced. So, what made you think because the parents didn't tell them much, or what did you feel was missing that because all of this hookup thing, smoking, drinking, partying stuff starts from being pair. We
Okay.
are going out. Come and join us. This is how it's done and stuff and stuff.
Now I would not blame the parents totally. It's their first time at life. They're also learning, they're also experiencing. You cannot be too hard on your parents. The least they can do for you, most of them can just provide the basics and probably not be able to talk to you. They might have not been in a space where they were taught these things openly, and they don't understand that some people do talk to their children about it openly too. So I will not completely blame the parents. They did their best. They tried their best. They put you in Sunday school. Even the teachers in Sunday school taught you. Because I remember in Living Faith Church, because I attend Living Faith Church, in our teens church, they always tell us that you see that dating, you want to date this boy now, is fine and everything. There will be a day you look back and regret ever dating him. It's like going to a supermarket without money. What are you going to gain?
Really?
They give us this kind of mindset. So if you still break out to do it and then the first one flops, you remember, if you decide not to learn, it's your cup of tea at that point. But back to what I'm saying, I will not blame the parents. The whole society raises a child. Both the neighbor that sells akara on the street, they will be saying subtle things that maybe did not have implications for them but might have implications for you.
But trust me, I could even say that does not apply to the today generation.
Today
Reason
generation
is,
listens to everybody.
I think the thing is, today in today Nigeria, it was back then that you could raise, the society raises a child. In today's concept, you hardly, because you beat somebody's child today now, the parents can come into school. In fact, there's a school now that's threatening to be locked in Lagos because they beat a child. I think a teacher beats, is it 6 year old something, and they said they should lock the school. I don't get it. We in our days, if you come late to school, what they will do you? I don't understand. But then I don't see how that is even. But then for me, I would say influencing for me is a big deal, because I think it has really shaped today culture, and it's so bad even telling on today's day to day that we're seeing, especially Nigeria, like where we live in today. So for you as a young woman, Gen Z, how are you not? Why your head never blew?
I was saying something initially, yeah, and I was talking about how they used to caution us and everything. But there's one teaching that have stuck with me. Bishop K, if you are watching this, be proud of me.
Really?
You have something to be proud of. Look at me. Okay. He always says that whenever you want to do something, always have a why. Why? Why are you doing it?
Uh,
You this thing you want to do now.
to
Why?
Bishop K, I don't know you, so I'm not dragging what she's saying. But then the thing is, not many people even think this deep.
Yes.
I want to agree with one of our guests on the show that said that today's youth are lazy. But I think I've met many innovative young women the past couple of years that are really doing something outside the box.
Yes.
So not all of us, I'm not inside all of you guys. Like, not your generations don't think deep like that to say, why am I doing this? Because the truth is, I see I'm a person, for as many out there that knows me and on my show, I always say it. I'm very slow to judge a person. I could tell for one, and I think primarily that's why you are on Leading Vision podcast today. You're one girl that is so controversial in ABU when you were a student. So many wrongs were said about you. Hey, you don't know this one. You did an event in Zaria 3 4 years ago, 2021, 22. I can't remember. One
Yes.
of the times you did like a black party or something.
No, every year I do color theme. Last
Color.
year was black. The year before was white. The first year was um crazy.
You see, you guys will
Shred
agree with me. I
and all
told you
that.
she's a baddie. But then the thing is, now coming to now get close to you, everything these people say, you just wonder, is it this person they are saying it? Where is this coming from? So how do you now relate that to the today Gen Z, that it's about popping, it's about I want to, it's now, and what would you say it's the thing that the millennials and Gen Z, how do we see things that is different from how you guys see things?
Um, there was something you mentioned earlier, patience. You people were taught the virtue of patience, and it worked within that period because the economy was not this terrible. A lot of the systems that were built around that period were very, very much functional. So people learned patience and it was visible. And you could see the growth. You see how somebody waits until he's like 40 before he buys a car, before he builds his house. Retirement was good because you will finish, you get your pension. There was a time I think people were rushing to go into the military because when you finish from NDA, they'll give you a house and all that. In this time and day, it doesn't work like that. And then we are exposed to so much on the internet, and on the internet we see a 19-year-old saying, oh, I do this, I do that, and this is how I make money. And it's not like it's not true. It's true, and it works. And then you'll be looking at yourself that, me, do I have two head? there's this thing our parents always say, that child that's carrying first and you, does he have two head? And then you look at somebody that you feel is worth emulating, and you, do I have two head? Why don't I try it?
So what is
And then,
what do your generation know that you guys think the millennials don't know?
well, I feel our generation understand the concept of smart work.
The concept of smart work.
Smart work, yes.
And you think the
There
millennials
is
don't?
there is hard work, there is smart work. You people have been taught the virtue of hard work. We are learning the virtue of smart work. There's a lot of things I do now that people that I learned from have not gotten to where I've gotten to, and that is because they are not ready to take the risks I took. Yes, it came back to bite me, but at the end of the day, it is
Share
paying
one
me.
experience with us.
Okay, for this crochet thing now, there's the knitting my mom does. She does bulk for sweaters for school and all that. And if she doesn't do a bulk order, she might not make a profit of up to 100,000 naira. Let's
Okay.
put it that way in figures. Now, for me, this crochet I do, I looked for videos that taught how to make trendy, classy, what resonates with this generation. And now I can make a piece of clothing for up to 300,000 naira. I spend probably 6 to 7 hours working on it. I charge you for how many hours I work on your clothes and materials. And I can make a profit of over 200,000 naira working on your clothes. One order.
So where's the experience that failed you now?
Initially, when I started, not everybody was willing to buy crochet as expensive, and it was because they felt, is it not just wool, how much is wool? But then, with going back to read, understand business, read about luxury businesses, because you know that the difference between this cupcake that somebody sells on the road, 50 naira on his head, and the one that they sell 250K in ShopRite or wherever. Let me look for a name of an eatery. Let me just say 5G now, for instance. 5G doesn't sell their cake less than 500.
Okay, I hear you
It's
say
because,
250K. That's what I wanted to say. Is
yeah,
it
no, there are
250K?
places that they sell a slice of cake for up to 100,000. Enter Abuja, let's go and flex.
Like what? A cake? It's not
Like
a
a
cake
slice of cake,
for
yes.
100K.
Yes, there are places like that. There are places you cannot reserve for a meal, if not up to 200K. There are places like that. Desserts, you see, they will put bubble glass on the tin. They will put flour here, put
Have you
flour
been to
there.
any?
Yes, I've been to places like
We'll
that.
talk about that after the show.
Okay,
Now,
so
so
now the difference is that this person, you are seeing him every day on the road. If you did not see him today, you see him tomorrow. But you see that place, you will not dress anyhow to go there.
that's packaging.
Yes, they built the place, they painted the place, they arranged the place. Now, if you buy a piece from me, I'm going to deliver it in a customized box, a thank you card, excuse me, tips of how to take care of your, it's all going to be inside. There's going to be a bottle of wine beside your gift, and then there are going to be some, just mild decorations. If you open a box of order from me, you feel like you open something worth that 300K.
Mm.
Minus the fact that I will explain to you that it is hand stitched, so it is a lot of effort for me. I don't use machines. It is unique. No two crochet artists can make exactly the same clothes. They are going to be switches. And even if I make it again for another person, I have to change for the person's size. It is custom made. It is just for you. Now that experience, that feeling is what I'm selling
You
for
didn't pay me too
300K.
much for this advert. You didn't pay me much for this advert. But then the thing is, I think, but then very interestingly, as much as everything you're saying, trying to get in tune with it. What are we missing? What are the millennials missing?
You are willing to work hard and go out every day under the sun to make that money, while I am willing to switch and change little touches. That's where I smart work my way through and you hard work your way through. That's why most Gen Z feel like they're smarter than millennials.
But you guys, how many minutes do you last? You guys don't. I don't really see that you make the money per se, like the real money, because your generation gets this money and they blow it like almost immediately. They don't do stuff.
Well, it's because wealth education was not taught to us in schools.
Was it taught to us, the millennials?
No. But then, like, one thing again I noticed is that the reading culture has died in Gen Z. And if you want to pass a message across, you have to use maybe social media or other things. And now everybody on social media wants to sell this information that they read on a book. I read. I read. I'm on my second book for the year. The first book I read was Why We Want You to Be Rich, Donald Trump and
Your
Robert
second
Kiyosaki.
book in
Like that I'm reading. Yes, it was
today
still in
is
January.
17,
Yes.
and you've already read. You're on your
One
second
book,
book already.
yes.
So to as many young girls out there wasting your time to do hookup, see a young woman, fresh graduate French, that's doing second book already on 17th. So, but then as much as we want to do so much justice to influencing and all of it, I think I give to you one person that, which, despite all of the things that would have made her compromise and maybe one way do these things for the wrong reason. She went to club, but picked something different, made a little energy, the right energy out of this. I think for as many out there, um, don't I don't totally agree. Of course, parenting has a role to play in all of this. Our spiritual heads, all of those. You heard us said in our Sunday school, they teach you about this is this, but then they tell you the repercussion that okay, this thing
Yes.
it will later and play out like this. But then I think in closing, what can you tell us that for regardless of the influencing, of course you have your challenges. What would you say kept you that you didn't get influenced?
Um, my drive. I feel like every time I look at my younger siblings, and I know if I am a disgrace, what would they become? I learned a lot of things I learned from my oldest sibling. He was a very good example. He was an he's smart, he's example, he graduated with honors. He's an exemplary person. He's into tech and robotics. And like he's worth emulating. That is what I look at. Anytime I look, I'm like, will Manasseh do this? Will Manasseh do that? If he cannot do this, why will I do it?
Be
So
wise.
now, exactly. So I always looked at, okay, if he was a very big influence on me because I was always at home, he's also like, I think both of us are the ones that are always at home in our family.
Please, can we have a chest, please? And thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.